So smooth. So funky. Now, brown cow. Had to switch it up a little bit. Thank you for those of you that are joining us. Welcome to the Hometown Brawn Podcast, episode 7. And I'm your host, Sven Hansen. Please take a second. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a share. That's the only way people are going to get talking. All right, episode 7 is all about introducing you back to the value proposition, right? And you've probably heard about this before, the value proposition. This is what you offer the customer in exchange for money. You offer value. The value is broken down easily, most easily, into the 5 W's. And over the next several weeks, we're going to dive into that, the 5 W's. And what the 5 W's are, well, they go back to early philosophers. Aristotle is most commonly credited for writing about it. And typically the 5 W's are all part of investigative research or somebody really looking into something to tell the whole story. And why this is so important is this is a cause and effect relationship of a common problem. And what that common problem is right now is, what does your product solve? What is the root? What is the problem? Okay. And you probably see this poster behind me. If you're not watching, I'll break it down for you. There's a poster of a guy behind me, and he's scratching the shit out of his beard. And why is he doing that? Why? Well, because it's itchy. And he's got dry skin and it's gross. Well, that's what's going to happen if you don't take care of your beard. So by treating our beard with our products, always bearded, right? By treating your beard with our products, you don't have to be like this guy. You've got the problem and you've got the why, okay? And it's simply put. And I think it's never been more important than right now to clearly define your why, okay? All right. So the why is one of the 5 W's. The others are the what. You've also got the who. You've also got the where, and you've got the when. Now there's another adverb that usually and commonly follows around these 5 W's, and that's the how. That's the implementation. And we've got that part covered by interviewing people. And today, we're going to talk about that how with Treetop. So Treetops is an indoor playground. And right now, during all of this uncertainty, obviously, they can't be open. So he's done quite the shift right now. And I'm a customer, and I'm going to tell you about that a little bit later with Treetops and how they've shifted their business model to a delivery model, and it's ultra convenient. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Now let's get back to these W's. And today, obviously, the W that we're covering is the why. And the why might be to you, you probably remember this. It's, there's a quote, and it's very common, and it's, remember why you started. Well, the reason why you started was because you believed in the value that your product offered. And right now, many businesses need to redefine their business in an online format. And maybe you've had an online presence before, but you haven't really defined it. It's just played a backseat to your business being open to the public. Well, things have changed. They're different now. And this is how consumers feel safest, is by shopping online. So if you're quickly trying to get your business online, just a quick tip, please reach out to your economic development office in your community, or an entrepreneurship center if you have one, because there's all sort of support resources out there that are helping businesses get online, because small businesses are the backbone of the economy. And we know that it's so important that if a small business was to go away, it would be detrimental, so detrimental to the economy. So we really need to stick together and help each other right now. And that's exactly what's happening. So make sure and look for that. The 5 W's need to be considered everywhere in your shop, and it has to be clearly defined everywhere in your online shop. There's a tip: the simpler, the better. Okay. And for you technical and analytical people out there, you might have heard of a term called bounce rate. So when you're looking at what people are doing on your websites through Google Analytics or whatever you're looking at, you'll see that there's a bounce rate. And a bounce rate is typically just that. They bounced. Your customer has just left. And why? Why did they leave? Well, it's because you didn't convince them of the value fast enough. According to Nielsen's research, the customer uses the first 10 to 20 seconds to make a judgment call, a judgment as to whether or not they're going to stay on your website or if they're going to go somewhere else. And if you can get them to the 30-second mark, the chances are they're going to have a look through a whole plenty of pages on your website. And they're going to look through more in depth about your product and hopefully make a decision to buy your product. But defining the why to buy your product or service is going to be a tricky and critical part in the decision-making process of the consumer. But it goes back to the problem. If you can't define the problem, then you can't define your why. If there's no problem, then why buy it? It's just that simple. Maybe you need to sit down. Maybe you need to do a data dump, right? A brain map, and map out everything, all the whys, but find what stands out to you and chisel down at it, work away at it. Maybe ask some people, what is most compelling to your friends and family, and get that feedback. Because if you can do that, it's going to be easier for you to make that case to the person on your website trying to find out why they should buy your product. And I don't think it's mattered ever more than right now, because everybody is thinking why. Why do they need to buy this right now? Because with all this uncertainty going on in the economy, they could buy something else, or they could save their money. I mean, a lot of people are really tightening up their purses or their wallets, and they're doing that because obviously the economy is in a global recession. So, we have to be careful with what we do with our money. And that means buying things that make sense. So does your product make sense? It should, otherwise they're not going to buy it. Now, we often get too busy and we forget about what defines our company. And I'm going to leave this here with this example. I mean, it comes down to our brand and our values, why we started it, our ethos, our mission statement, our value proposition. And I'm going to use Tim Hortons as an example. Now, Timmy's, right? Tim Hortons has typically always been a staple of Canadian culture. But they forgot to focus on the W's, and mostly where they got lost was in the what, right? I'm going to throw up a picture here of the first Tim Hortons, and it just said on the sign, Tim Hortons Donuts. And it was later shortened to just Tim Hortons. And what they were known for was their donuts and their coffee. And that's what they did best. And they grew as part of Canadian culture. Everybody had to get their Timmy's, their coffee. And it evolved. Some people might say that they got greedy and they got wrapped up in fast food. And that could have been because they got, they got wrapped up into a big fast food conglomerate company, and they got absorbed, and we're now part of a portfolio of fast food restaurants, and they were trying to grow their revenues, but they started introducing weird stuff like burgers and stuff that was so not them. It wasn't their values. So people couldn't understand why. Why were they going to Tim Hortons again? Why weren't they just specializing on coffee, and maybe they're going to go now to Starbucks because they feel like the coffee is taking a back seat now to all of these lavish burgers and weird stuff that's coming up on the menu. I mean, stick to what you do best and define that quickly and easily for your consumer, and I promise you they'll make that decision. All right, now let's get into this call. Stay tuned for the next W on the next call. But now we're going to hop into this quickly with Randy from Treetop Indoor Playground. And in this call, we're going to talk about his new business, Funograms. While I've got your attention, we've got some new events coming up. And in the month of June, we've got two very exciting activities. Next week, Wednesday, June 3rd, we've got the Entrepreneurs Roundtable. This is our first event that we're doing where we get together on a digital meetup and we get to talk shop. We get to talk all things entrepreneurship, talk about how things are going, what we're struggling with, and hopefully as a group we can all come together and collaborate on some out-of-the-box thinking. To register, make sure and head to hometownbrawn.com/roundtable. And if you missed this one, don't worry, we're going to do this on the first Wednesday of every single month. After that, on Saturday, June 13th, with walking host Chris Adams from the Henry Bernick Entrepreneurship Center, he's going to be guiding a walk down the 9-mile portage. That's going from downtown Barrie all the way to Fort Willow in Minising. It's a 15-kilometer hike, or 9 miles. We're going to leave at 9 a.m. It's going to take approximately 4 hours, but we're going to stop along the way to take in nature, have some gratitude moments, talk about entrepreneurship, and discuss our ambitions and potentially some of our issues with other like-minded individuals. This is going to be a great event. We hope to see you come out to this. To sign up, head to hometownbrawn.com/9-mile-portage. Well, thanks for joining me on the podcast, Randy. I appreciate it very much. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So, I mean, usually for the podcast, I do it scripted, and I found that sometimes I get carried away in examining the questions. So I thought I would start making it a little bit more genuine and just more of a conversation, just because I feel like that's more real. So I thought I'd reach out. Obviously, we've got a little bit of history. We did some college together, probably about 10 years ago now. And
old.
I know it's been a while. Since then we've had children.
Yeah.
We've had multiple businesses. It's with your latest business there, Treetop, obviously my children come in there quite a bit in your locations, but I thought I'd open it up and just let you tell a little bit about your story, your background. I know you've got quite an interesting background at being an entrepreneur. So give me the Coles Notes, the executive summary of your past 10 years since we were in college.
For sure, yeah. So it's, I've always been an entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was about 19 years old. We did mostly like promotions, concerts, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then I went back to college, is where I met you, right? Taking there, and started with a oxygen bar after that, which didn't go so well, but it was, those oxygen bars you see in Vegas
Yep.
and stuff.
Hmm.
So we tried something in Barrie, which people weren't as, I guess, familiar with the idea, and it just didn't really work out for whatever reason.
Hmm.
And after that, opened up like a small cafe, and we do like waffles, things like that, for a short period of time, which was okay. But I just decided at that point that I would get into real estate, which I still am to this day, just kind of part time. But um, it was something I really enjoyed. I did it for a while, and then I met my wife, and we had kids, and
Yeah.
life started to change. And so I thought, what could I do that would kind of fit my lifestyle with children and stuff. And we were at a playground in Barrie, and at the time there really wasn't much out there for children, especially indoor playgrounds. So I said, why don't we, try to do something like this? And one thing to led to another, and we ended up opening our first park in Barrie. And then from there, we with the research that I did, we kind of found that there wasn't really like an industry leader in active play, indoor playgrounds, that kind of thing. So that's what I wanted to be, right? I always kind of, my businesses, I was always kind of go big or go home. So I thought, okay, well, from this one, I want to expand sort of into either franchising or just growing the business to other cities and stuff. And we sort of seen an opportunity up in Aurelia, because there was nothing up here, and we moved a little faster than we wanted to, but the opportunity was there, so we took it, and we opened up in Aurelia about a year later.
Hmm.
The one in Aurelia was doing great. They were both doing great before this whole kind of pandemic thing happened. But
Hmm.
and yeah, so that's kind of my history as far as business. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the centers that you have are they're in great markets, they're in great locations, to certainly thrive. Um, you know, normally thrive normally when we're not in a pandemic under semi lockdown, right? So, I know that 2020 has been pretty crazy, pretty challenging, for entrepreneurs. And
Well, everybody, it's been a tough, it's been a tough start to the year for sure.
yeah, for sure. And as much as pandemics have been around for a while, I don't think anybody saw it coming that it was going to completely shut everything down to an extent that it has, right? So, you know, what I like about Treetop is that you've made some changes to adapt, right, to our new normal, whatever that is. We don't really know what that is because it changes every day. But us as entrepreneurs, we have to be agile and adapt to these things as they happen. And why don't you tell me a little bit about the phonograms and the Treetop delivery system that you've got going? Because I saw, and I'm going to put the picture of I saw your new van that's been all wrapped. I'm going to get that up on here and show everyone. But that's pretty cool too. It's definitely eye catching. Why don't you tell me a little bit more about the service?
So, I mean, well, I'll kind of go to how it originated, I guess. I mean, obviously, with the pandemic, we had to, before they made us shut down, we had to sort of make a decision. We had kind of the community on our backs about being open. At the time, they didn't have the order to close everything down, right? So I had to make a tough decision of saying, you know what, I think we have to close. And
Yeah, because it could be a bad, scenario, right? I mean, not just are you putting people at risk, but you're obviously your safety and everything comes foremost.
for sure, and that's
Yeah.
that was important, one for the our customers, and then two for our staff. It was a really tough decision because not only we had two locations, right? We had
Mhm.
staff at both locations. It was just it was a really hard decision. So, anyways, March 16th we closed down, and I remember sitting up till about 3 in the morning and just kind of looking at the wall and saying like, what the hell am I going to do here? Like,
Mhm.
operate whatsoever as an indoor playground.
Yeah.
there's I've got a family to support. I've got rent to pay. I got mortgages to pay. It was just I was almost in tears, really, man. I was
Yeah.
like thinking, and then I said, okay, well, I'm not going to let a pandemic take me down. Like, it's like I'm not going out like this. I've invested way too much money, time, everything into this business, right? So we've always we've sort of had a retail section in our front of our park. Before we closed, and we always sold like balloons and sort of little plush animals, toys and stuff for kids, just sort of as. So I said, okay, I've got all these balloons, I've got all these toys sitting in inventory, I can't open, what am I going to do? And I thought, like the kids sitting at home not being able to do anything, they can't leave their house, can't go to school, they're depressed. So I said, well, what if we delivered some of this stuff to their house, to put a smile on their face, get rid of our inventory, stay afloat, and we'll see how it goes. So I threw together a flyer, like literally, I think the next morning I did it in about an hour. And I just put it out on Facebook, and honestly, it just like we couldn't keep up with the messages that were coming in. Like, please, can you bring something over here? My kids would be happy, whatever. And I was like, cool. So we kind of went with it, and I was just like running off my feet, and it was kind of amazing, and it was just like even delivering, like all of it was porch drop off, but I could see like the people from the car when they grabbed it and like the smiles on their faces. Like I seen like one mother, she was crying at the door that she was so happy.
That's nice.
That her kid could have something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with my marketing background and stuff, I just thought, like started putting some ideas together and things like that, and how I can market this and get it out there. And that came up with Phonogram.
Right. Well, I'll tell you right now, I've got a 4-year-old at home who's turning 4 in a week. So I'm going to be definitely getting something from you. Are you doing delivery in Barrie?
Yeah, so we do delivery Barrie, really, pretty much Simcoe County right now. We're trying to cover. Our long-term plan is obviously we want to scale this business and get it up to sort of a broader audience, right? So we to shipping phonograms directly to people, things like that. But right now in the community, we're doing deliveries right to the door. We do regular like sort of balloon bouquets for birthdays. We do little gift boxes with different toys, different things, and we even do stuff for adults. We do coffee packages, teas, spa packages, stuff like that. Yeah.
So, I guess in how we could collaborate. I mean, we've talked about, doing the stuff for Always Bearded and having some stuff there for Father's Day. And, I'm sure, obviously having something for everybody certainly helps, right? Because, if people are shopping on there to get stuff for kids parties, right? It just makes sense to have stuff around other holidays too that are
exactly. And we're targeted towards kids, but adults are buying for kids, so why not give them something as well, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So now coming back to Treetop, right? So let's talk, I guess, about because some of the things that I have been talking about on the podcast recently are how we're going to open up our businesses safely, right?
Yeah.
So I know that that's a huge anxiety on a lot of entrepreneurs right now and business owners, right?
Yeah.
Because we're thinking, we're opening up the door to essentially to a disease or sorry, an illness that is killing people. So how do we keep everyone safe when the government is opening up the doors and putting the safety of the public essentially in our hands? So have you sat down, have you started developing like a guide, a training manual, like all that stuff? Tell me a little bit more about what you're doing to prepare your shop.
Yeah, so for sure, we actually just had a Zoom meeting with all the staff on Friday, just to sort of get them up to speed on what's going on. Because I mean, so our location in up in Aurelia, we have a hair salon, and we have for kids, and then we have the park in the back, right? So with what I'm anticipating, I think will probably be open before the indoor park. So we're sort of prepping the reopen for the salon first. So it's a lot.
in
Like
stage 2?
well, they're saying stage 2 or stage 3. We have no idea, right? Sorry, just one sec. Right there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Further. So essentially, yeah, like we kind of have to have 2 plans. We have to have one for the salon, one for the indoor playground. And I don't even want to think about the indoor playground right now because of the fact that it's such close contact that it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Kind of doing the social distancing thing in a park, right? So it's so right now, like I said, we're focused on the salon. We've got some procedures and stuff that we put in place that we've already started educating the staff. The type of equipment they need to wear, that kind of stuff, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, with daycare centers, I imagine daycare centers, being a very similar business model to you, and with that opening up, I think there's a big rush on getting that open because the public can't get back to work
Yeah.
if their children aren't being watched, right? So, do you think you're going to be following suit with childcare centers, or are you going to take a little bit longer to observe how that happens and then kind of open up when you feel it's safe?
I think that, I mean, I've been observing, like, for example, with the hair salon, I've been watching other hair salons in the States and over out West that are sort of starting to open up and seeing what they're doing. And I've been following that. But like, yeah, indoor playgrounds, daycare centers, I don't think anybody knows really what they're going to do exactly because there's hasn't been any guidelines laid out from the
And
government.
it's so difficult with children because they don't grasp it and they can't,
Tell
right?
put on a mask and they have to wear it, right? It's going to be very, very difficult to do that. Uh,
Hmm.
so it's like, yeah, I've even talked to 1 or 2 daycare centers, and they're in the same boat. They really don't know how to sort of handle the situation, and we're waiting on the government really to sort of tell us first when we're able to open and what guidelines we need to follow, because I'm sure they're more extensive than a regular business, right?
Right. Hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just taking it day by day. We're just trying to. I mean, we've already kind of come to terms with it's not going to be the same as before with an indoor playground business, and that's why we sort of pivoted to this, delivery service, because I really think that my business is going. The indoor playground is going to be a secondary sort of business to this business now. If that
Hmm.
makes sense.
No,
Uh,
it certainly does.
yeah,
I think, yeah, I mean, it's really difficult until a vaccination comes out. It's really going to feel, people aren't going to feel safe, in allowing their children to be in close quarters with each other, right? So, it is, you know, I think you did the right thing by pivoting so quickly, and phonograms. I think, we talked about this when we were on the phone the other day. I think not not just right now, but I think moving forward, the entire delivery system, ease of use, convenience, drop off, click and collect, all that stuff is making a huge um, entrance, right? I mean, it's been there, but people haven't taken advantage of it
yeah,
until now. And now people are taking advantage of it and saying, wow, why have I, why is it taking me so long to do this? Because it's so
exactly.
easy, right?
I mentioned we were talking about that on the call, like how
Mhm.
retailers are already kind of suffering from the switch to online, but with this
Mhm.
expedited it, right? Because it's just, yeah, people that haven't used the service before, they see how easy it is, how convenient it is, without having to go into a million stores and be exposed now to this sort of virus that's out there. Yeah, I think it's going to be a huge shift.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great. So tell me, what are you doing for advertising? How are you getting the word out there? Social media mostly?
Yeah, like right now, it's been mostly social media, and because it was such a quick and drastic shift, we're still working out. Like our website just got launched last week, and we're
Mhm.
sort of still working out the bugs and stuff because we had a fully custom made site to sort of fit our business, and with like, for example, like building a phonogram box, it wasn't something that we could just go on Shopify and get, and things like that. We had to sort of custom make it to sort of fit our business exactly, right? So we're still working out bugs with that, and we haven't got all our inventory in for our products and stuff, so I haven't really rolled out a full advertising campaign yet.
Okay.
So sort of on social media, hitting groups, boosting some of our posts on our page, things like that, right?
Are you doing any giveaways, like win a birthday and stuff like that, or?
And it's just, and the other challenges too is we don't have the manpower right now.
Yeah.
It's basically me and my wife. A lot of our staff we've laid off, and they're wanting to come back, but when the time's right. I don't think they then feeling comfortable coming back, and that's fine. So it's been me and my wife handling the whole thing. So it's like it's taking a little bit longer to get stuff like that out. Doing giveaways, doing all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I was last on Friday. The ice cream truck was coming through my neighborhood, and it's every time I see that, I think back to how I've seen that this convenience business come from when I was a kid, and they had Dickadees going around on those little bikes, and then ice cream trucks and things like that. I think it would be pretty cool too, also, if because your van is so cool, if it could drive through neighborhoods and just let people know that we're going to be driving through with some fun music going, and kids can come out and get something that's going to make their day, right?
Exactly. And I mean, with that truck, that's what we really wanted. We wanted it really eye-catching. Mm-hmm. And long term is that we're going to have helium in the back and balloons and all that stuff, where we can pull up literally, like you said, and just like, they want a balloon, boom, there you go, right?
Yeah.
We wanted to make it basically a mobile business.
Fun center.
So that, because we do other things, like we do mascots, jumping castles, we deliver decorations to homes and things like that. So if we can just pull that van up, open it up, and it's like a fun center. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. I won't take too much of your time because I know you're super busy. But I do look forward to speaking with you about getting, that order together and helping make some fathers happy for Father's Day.
Feelers out there, we've been getting a good response from it. So I'm excited to get some of your products in and kind of on the go, right?
Good stuff. Well, I appreciate your time very much today, and we'll stay in touch. And I wish you all the best with Treetops. I'm going to be giving you a shout because I've got my daughter's birthday is she's turning 4, and then my son is turning 1, like a week after that. So probably going to need some stuff to make the kids happy.
I got a 3 and 4-year-old. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely wild. Having them at home and trying to find that balance, right? So,
all right, man. Well, thank you for having me on, and hope everything goes well for you as well.
All right, thanks so much, Randy. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Before I leave you for the day, I just wanted to give a shout out and a thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of our frontline healthcare workers and essential workers out there for all that you do. Thank you so much. To my fellow entrepreneurs, thank you for listening. Keep powering through. Stay positive, stay optimistic, and stay hungry. Thank you for subscribing below to our channel, listening to us on Apple Music, on Google Play, on Spotify, and we'll see you next week.